Hi, I be scums. I like the fighting game and I like the MOBA game. Why am I telling you that? Because I wanted to try my hand at making a simple game guide for a casual, teetering on the edge of competitive gamer like me. The subject of said guide, you may ask? Gran in granblue Fantasy vs. Rising. And this is serious business because they actually made granblue. Starting off, I want to get into some pros and cons of picking up this character. Pros are he's very simple to pick up and play because he's just a standard pro tag. You know, he eats white bread, eats little meat, eats little potatoes. If he's feeling daring, he might put butter on his bread. But apart from that, he has amazing pressure on block, especially if you're comfortable with him, because he has certain spacings that make moves safe. And the strongest pro for me is that they made him blue. If you spend $75, you get to be blue. Gran is blue. Granblue Fantasy vs. Rising. Like, how can you beat that? Cons include the fact that he's a very stubby boy when it comes to his normals. In fact, in neutral, I think you're better off substituting a fireball in place of poking with said normals. There's also the fact that if you plan on becoming a Gran main and you want to actually be blue, you're going to have to drop that $75. Like, that's just going to need to happen. I also find the Gran matchup to be pretty flowchart to beat if I'm playing like someone I'm comfortable with, say Vera or Tag. Like, I just see what he is doing and I know what to do next. So watch out for that. And lastly, like, the biggest turnoff to Gran for me is the fact that when you're playing Gran, you just have the mindset of someone that eats meat, bread, and potatoes for every meal, like there is no variety. Gran's unique skill is, well, unique in the fact that it has multiple stages, and when maxed out, you get an invincible half-screen flash that wall bounces, and you can even hit confirm into it from the universal 3-hit auto combo. He's also got like this canned aerial cross-up with jumping unique attack, and it's been surprisingly very useful more times than I'd like to admit. It's just closed out around when my opponent was slacking or whatever, so keep that in mind. It amazes my mind that people get crossed up in a game with a block button. Gran specials are just about what you'd expect from a meat and potato eating Shoto protagonist. He's got the fireball, he's got the dash and boot, he's got a DP, and that's pretty much it. And while that may not sound like much on paper, with the boots on the ground gameplay this game's got going on, it's a great skill set to have. Gran's first special, Regan Leave, it's his fireball. It's a bit basic, but it's got a little pizzazz for the medium and heavy versions. Medium, it does a little slash before the fireball comes out, and it's ideal for ending your auto combo if you're afraid of risks. And the ultimate version is just a really good full screen punish because it slows time down and it just goes full screen in each projectile, so keep that in your back pocket. Gran's second special, Overdrive Surge, it's a dash attack to close distance, but it has a twist here and there. For example, the light version can be followed up with an additional input to let out a frame trapping kick. If you know your opponent's going to press a button, you just give them that boot. There's some silly conditioning that you can do here because you just get a mash happy player to respect that follow-up, and then you can just turn it into a strike throw miss. The medium version, while higher in strength, has much less complexity to it because it's just the boot. And with the boot, Gran leaps forward and he imprints his 16th century Timberlands just onto your face and says fuck neutral if you spaced it correctly, because while it's minus, it always leaves you safe if spaced correctly, so why not throw it out? And Gran's final special, Rising Sword, his DP as well, ADP, he leaps into the air, sword in hand, and slashes at the opponent. The medium, heavy, and EX versions have upper body invulnerability, but say your prayers if you wish because it's more than easy to punish. And I said EX version, but really I mean the ultimate version, because the EX version is the heavy, but we're just going to ignore that. As for Skybound Arts, his normal one is just a dashing attack with a little invulnerability, but not enough to raw dog fireballs from a distance. And Super Skybound Art for when you're under 30% HP, it's a close range blast, but it will catch jumping opponents if you get the read, and it has a nice little animation with a dirty dirt, if that's your sort of thing. For Gran's game plan in neutral for most matchups, I feel he's best just throwing off fireballs to set the tempo and seeing how his opponent's going to react. If they're the ones to close the distance, you can try to compete in the poke game with his stubby normals, but you're probably just better off waiting for your turn to punish a risky move, or even just throwing the occasional spaced fireball if they're within a safe boot range. But why do that when you can just say fuck neutral altogether with the boot? And of course, if your opponent ever gives you excessive downtime, just power charge with your unique. It's good to have that on you, you know? As for combo structure, I really only have one tip for everyone looking to learn Gran, and that's whether you're using meter or not, boot is your best friend. Like light boot if you confirm, and EX boot if you find your enemy in the corner so that you can get a nice little wall bounce, get a combo out of it. And if you're willing to give up a bravery point and some meter, ultimate boot will give a nice damage reward and some corner carry, and a hard knockdown. Go forth, meat and potato lovers, and show the world that boot is the gift that keeps on giving. And thanks for watching. I appreciate your time.